Trevs Show. I'm the Trev. It's too sweet. Anyway, preseason started today, which means we have 3 weeks to the regular season, which means I should get my ass in gear and give you guys my division prediction videos. So I'm a little bit behind, but I'm here nonetheless, and we're going to do this alphabetically. So we're starting with the Atlantic Division. And just a full disclaimer, I'm not 100% confident in a few of these picks, not just in this division, in all the divisions as a whole. But this is my realistic attempt at predicting the division. So having said all that, let's get to it. And here's the thing I think about when it comes to the Atlantic. In my mind, number 1 is pretty solid. Number 5 to 8, well, 6, 7, 8, I think you'll see pretty much what I'm picking. 2 to 5, I think, is where you're going to run into the headaches. But for the most part, I think, like I said, it's going to be a pretty one dominant team division. And I'm going to give you my picks in reverse. So I'm going 8 to 1. Feels good to actually say that for all the divisions this year. Anyway, here's my pick for the Atlantic. Well, the good news for the Sabres, if there's any good news to take out of this, Sabres fans, is you're not going to finish last overall. Not this year. The bad news, you still got Eichel. And you're not going to get what you want for Eichel. Not an Eichel that wants disc fusion surgery. But it's a hard pill for Buffalo fans to swallow, going through a rebuild that could take who knows how long anymore. And I mean, they lost everybody. Ritzelainen went to Philly. Reinhart went to Florida. They managed to get Will Butcher, but other than that, their offensive core is so depleted. It's going to be a pain to be a Sabres fan, but it won't be as bad as last year, right? I mean, you're not going to hit an 18-game losing skid. You hope. Now, putting Ottawa here really only feels like familiarity, and it's still a rebuild in progress, really. I mean, I don't expect them to do too bad. Not Buffalo bad, but they're not making the playoffs. And their problem really is their younger players aren't at that point yet where they can carry the team, I don't think. I mean, it's not that they're not there. They've got the pieces. It's just they're still young. They still need to develop into more all-around players, I think. And I mean, really, they're not really doing much to get better just yet. Hopefully, with Tkachuk on board, he still hasn't signed by this point. Hopefully Tkachuk comes on board and, is able to carry Ottawa for a while. Because, I mean, like I said, they've got the pieces. It's just a matter of actually putting it all together. And as long as Matt Murray's the goalie, you might want to look into a solid backup. Just saying. I wrestled putting Detroit 6th. That's really only because I'm basing it on 2 things. Zadina and Seider. If those guys are playing and they develop well, I could see them in 5th, but I don't know. I mean, it almost feels like they're afraid to pull the trigger on Zadina and just let him play. But Seider, I understand his defense. He takes time to develop. I get that. Other than that, everything else is looking up when it should look down. I mean, bringing on Nedeljkovic in net is better than keeping on Bernier or still having Howard. Bertuzzi re-signing for 2 more years is a great thing. And hopefully they get better in the next 2 years, because I don't want to keep putting them out of the playoffs for too long. It just feels weird not seeing Detroit in the playoffs. Oh, poor Montreal. To go from a cup final to missing the playoffs. I'm not picking them to make the playoffs. I understand the wild cards are back in play. And I think this year for the Atlantic and the Metro, it's going 4-4. No Weber. The literal anchor to your cup run. And he's not playing probably anymore. Sucks. Losing Kokaniemi to an offer sheet, even though it's only 1 year, sucks. And to boot, your starting goalie is probably out for a couple months. To start the season, it's not looking good. I mean, they also lost Philip Deneau to LA, so that hurts as far as they're concerned. Losing Perry isn't a bad thing, but really, aside from maybe Suzuki and Savard, I mean, Gallagher is questionable at best. I don't know, it's just not going to be a playoff year for Montreal, and there will be changes at the end of the year, I promise. Boston will round out your playoff picture. So we're at number 4. Lots of strange things are going to be happening in Boston soon, but let's worry about the now. The biggest question has to be goaltending, and I want to think they have a strong enough defense that they don't have to worry about goaltending, but also picking up Ullmark out of Buffalo might not be a bad thing. I mean, he played really well when he was on point in Buffalo, which was for Ullmark okay, for Buffalo not so much. But anyway, Bergeron's a free agent at the end of the year too. And you got to wonder about Bergeron and Marchand and how much longer they have in Boston. But you've also got Pasternak, and you've got Taylor Hall for another 4 years. So, if one of the gears moves, if Rask comes back, because Rask hasn't officially retired, and just because they haven't signed him yet, don't mean nothing. But lots of things could change this pick. But for the now, I'm picking them to finish 4th. A weird thing might actually happen in Florida. Their building might not be so empty. I'm actually picking them to finish 3rd. And really, it's not a matter of it's just that time for them. They're making the right moves. Finally. I mean, adding Reinhardt out of Buffalo for Devon Levy didn't hurt them at all. I mean, yeah, they lost Dreger in the expansion draft, but they also got Joe Thornton, and I mean, there's your veteran presence right there. But aside from that, a healthy Ekblad will definitely help. Barkov is the player you're going to want to keep all your eyes on, because Barkov is going to beat the Panthers for years to come. Hornquist is on the team as well, so it's just going to be a good year for the Panthers. And I mean, the net's going to be solid with Spencer Knight in there backing up Bobrovsky. So they're going to be a fun team to watch, I think. They're not going to set the world on fire, but they are going to finish 3rd in the Atlantic. I'm not picking Toronto to win the division. Not because I don't like Toronto. It has nothing to do with whether I like them or not. I just don't think they're going to play to their own expectations this season. I'm not predicting their playoff success just yet, and I don't think I need to, because we're not there yet, and we all know the answer, right? Right. Honestly, though, I mean, getting Mrazek to replace Anderson isn't a bad idea. For the net, I just don't know if it's enough. I'm not doubting Mrazek at all. I am worried about his defense and how well they're going to stop pucks for him. I mean, again, not to knock his skills, but Toronto has this bad thing of letting funny goals in, and you'd hate to see it happen to a guy like Mrazek. But all in all, they're going to play well, despite whatever headache comes their way, because usually a headache comes their way every season. Whether it's a contract, whether it's this player, or whether it's this, whatever action happens, something comes along to distract them, and hopefully they don't hit that rut of distraction that they do every year. But it is Toronto. What do you expect for Toronto, right? Yeah, I'm picking Tampa to win the division. Granted, they did lose a lot in free agency. A lot. But for what they did lose, they didn't really change much. I mean, it's still the same team that has won back-to-back championships, just with a piece here missing here and there. Yanni Gord, obviously, the biggest name coming out of that, losing out to free agency or to the expansion draft. Sorry. I mean, they did get rid of Tyler Johnson, which kind of cleans up that mess. They ultimately replaced it with Brent Seabrook's contract, but meh, it doesn't hurt them much, if at all. Ultimately, I mean, you can expect Tampa to be a very competitive team for at least another couple of years, I would think. I mean, most of that core is just starting to hit their prime, and that's a scary thought. So, under the cap world, yeah, obviously it's not going to stay that way for long, but they said that coming into the playoffs last year, and really, the team doesn't look like it's changed much. So ultimately, I think, yeah, same Tampa team that steamrolled over the league last two seasons is going to win this division. Just what I'm saying. So that's my Atlantic Division predictions. And this is another one of Trev's Hockey Shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you tune in right here. It helps us both more than you think. So while you're here, hit that like. Since you're at it, hit that red button that says subscribe. You know you want to. I know you want to. Subscribe makes you feel good, so let's hit it up. Socials in the description down below. So since I've given you the Atlantic, and we're going alphabetical, next I'm giving you the Central Division. And yeah, it's another one of those ones where I'm not 100% sure that's my final pick, but that's the pick I'm making for that video. So either way, in the meantime, and between time, be on the lookout for videos from Trev. Later.